Clara had grown up in the shadow of whispers. In her small town, everyone knew the label attached to her, infertile. A doctor's cold words years ago had condemned her in the eyes of her family. When suitors came calling for her sisters, no one spared Clara a glance. Her family saw her as a burden, an embarrassment to hide away. So when a wealthy rancher named Luke asked for a bride, Clara's family decided to send her instead. "He doesn't need children, just a wife to cook and clean," they whispered with cruel smirks. They believed they had solved their problem, sending her away to be someone else's shame. Clara's heart sank as the wagon carried her to the wide plains of the West. She expected coldness, rejection, maybe even disgust when her new husband found out the truth. But when she arrived, the tall, rugged cowboy greeted her with calm eyes and a quiet nod. Luke was a widower, a man of few words, his face marked with years of toil under the sun. Clara stood trembling in her plain dress, waiting for disappointment to harden his face. But instead, he offered his hand. "Welcome home," he said simply. It was the first time anyone had spoken those words to her. Clara swallowed hard, unsure what this new life would bring, but for the first time, hope flickered in her heart. Life on the ranch was nothing like Clara had imagined. Luke wasn't cruel or dismissive, he treated her with respect, though he remained distant, guarded, as if protecting a wound too deep to touch. But not everyone welcomed her. The ranch hands whispered when they thought she wasn't listening. Neighbors smirked behind their hands, sneering at Luke's choice. Why would a man like him marry a barren woman? One said at the trading post. Another muttered, "She's just dead weight." Clara bore the shame silently, as she always had. But Luke noticed. One evening, after supper, he caught her standing outside, shoulders slumped under the weight of gossip. "You hear them, don't you?" he asked. His voice was low, but not unkind. Clara forced a brittle smile. "It doesn't matter what they say. It's the truth." Luke studied her, his expression unreadable. Then, without warning, he said, "They don't know truth. Only God does." The words stunned her. No one had ever defended her, not like that. Still, she couldn't shake the fear that sooner or later, Luke would regret the marriage. Yet slowly, small cracks began to form in the wall he had built around himself. He noticed when she was tired and carried water for her. He asked about her books, her thoughts, her favorite things. He even smiled once, faint but real. For Clara, every small gesture was a seed of hope. She was still terrified of her secret defining her, but Luke's quiet kindness was teaching her something she had never known. She might still have worth. The summer storm came without warning. Dark clouds rolled across the plains, winds howled, and rain hammered the earth like a drum. Clara was in the barn feeding the horses when lightning struck the old oak tree nearby. The crack split the night, and the tree fell against the barn, trapping her inside. She screamed, clawing at the wood as smoke and sparks threatened fire. Panic rose in her chest until suddenly, Luke's strong arms pulled her free. He had run into the storm without hesitation, rain drenching him, eyes burning with fear. When they reached safety, Clara collapsed against him, sobbing. Luke held her close, tighter than he ever had before. His voice, usually steady and calm, shook. "I thought I lost you." The words made her heart ache. "Why would it matter?" she whispered. "I can't give you children. I can't give you what others can." Luke pulled back, gripping her shoulders, forcing her to look into his storm-lit eyes. "Clara, do you think I married you for children? My first wife died giving birth. I buried her and our son on the same day." His voice cracked with the weight of old grief. "I don't need more children. I needed someone to live again with." Clara's breath caught. In that moment, the truth shattered the chains of shame around her heart. Luke didn't see her as broken. He saw her as whole, as exactly who he needed. After the storm, something shifted between them. Luke no longer kept his distance. He sought her out, inviting her into the quiet spaces of his life. They rode horses together at dawn, laughter echoing across the hills. He showed her the hidden spring deep in the woods, a place he had kept secret even from his ranch hands. Clara, for the first time, felt she belonged, not just on the ranch but in someone's heart. Yet she still wrestled with doubt. One evening, when the two shared supper by the fire, she asked softly, "Do you ever wish you'd chosen someone else? Someone who could give you a family?" Luke set down his cup and reached across the table, taking her hand in his calloused one. "Clara, I already have a family. You His voice was steady, filled with quiet conviction. Tears stung her eyes. For so long, she had been told she was a burden, a mistake. But here, with this man, she was chosen, wanted not for what she couldn't give, but for who she was. The ranch hands noticed the change too. No one dared mock her anymore, not after seeing the way Luke's gaze softened when it fell on his wife. Respect replaced gossip. Clara wasn't the barren outcast, they now called her, the boss's lady, with a tone of admiration. Clara began to understand something her family never had. Love wasn't about what she could provide. It was about who she was, and Luke loved her as no one else ever had. Months passed, and Clara's place in Luke's world grew firm. She learned the rhythm of ranch life, the joy of evenings by the fire, the peace of waking up beside a man who cherished her. But her greatest joy came from Luke's daughter from his first marriage, little Mary. At first shy and withdrawn, the girl slowly warmed to Clara's gentle kindness. Clara read her stories at night, braided her hair in the mornings, and taught her to bake bread. One evening, Mary slipped her small hand into Clara's and whispered, "I'm glad you're my mama now." The words undid her. For the first time, Clara understood she didn't need to give birth to be a mother. She was already one, in the eyes of a little girl who needed love. Luke found her crying softly after putting Mary to bed. "What's wrong?" he asked, worried. Clara shook her head with a smile through tears. "Nothing's wrong. For the first time, everything's right." Luke kissed her then, slow and tender. "You're the only woman I'll ever love," he said. And Clara believed him. The woman sent away in shame had become the heart of a family, the light of a home, and the only love a cowboy would ever need.